Chase Young dominated for the second day in a row. So that's how day 7 started. It ended with him at the microphone saying some interesting things. Plus, we'll have DA's press conference. Two veterans speaking very highly of Taliese Fuaga and all the practice reports. So I'm Tim, and let's talk Saints. So by all accounts today, Chase Young had another dominant performance on the practice field. But we're going to start off with some of the stuff he talked about in the post game or post practice press conference because he was one of the players that was up at the microphone. And we'll cover portion of DA's because he always leads off. And he had some things to say about Chase Young when the media asked him about it. So we'll go over that real quick. We'll then we'll do Chase Young. Then we'll go back to DA. But and basically the questions getting thrown at Dennis Allen was, well, since he was ahead of schedule and it looked like he got more reps today, which Dennis Allen said, yeah, we ramped him up a little bit. They asked about the ramp up process, and he said, well, look, it's, a couple of extra reps every day, and building him up till he's ready to be a full go. Because he did miss, and Chase talks about it, did miss quite a few months where he really couldn't do normal conditioning and training and lifting and all that stuff. So they just want to make sure he, as Dennis said, has his football legs under him before they completely turn him loose because they really don't want a setback. But DA said, look, in his preparation to get ready for training camp, preparation to be on the field, both physically and mentally, he's exceeded everything, the DA expected, all of his expectations, which is kind of an interesting theme to have for Chase Young, because when we go over DA's press conference, there's some players in positions that haven't exceeded his expectations. But with DA, they kind of asked him what's he's most suppressed about, and he said just the way Chase Young's going about his business, because he says he comes to work every day and he does everything we ask him to do, and he does it in the way we ask him to do it. So Chase Young is making an impression, definitely on the field. We'll talk about that a little later. I think he's starting to build a little leadership presence on the defensive line and integrating himself into the team pretty good, especially for someone who wasn't there for minicamp and OTAs in the beginning of the offseason process. But DA's liking what he's seeing there, and it's in. We need that extra monster rusher from the edge or monster player from the edge. Compliment Granderson. Hopefully get, as we've been saying, Cam back on track. And then having three of those guys is going to start making a huge, huge difference in what happens up front with the defense.
I just really just had to chill and just let my body do what it do.
Chase, completely comfortable out there right now? Or is there ramping back up for you?
I mean, I feel comfortable. We still gonna ramp it up. Last thing they worry about is my neck. They're just making sure because I had to sit 2 months that everybody else was working. So just making sure I don't get no soft tissue injuries, nothing like that. That's why we ramping it up.
Yeah, Chase, timetable is one thing, but also like what do you miss in those 2 months as far as working out, staying in the shape you used to being in and everything?
Yeah, I mean
that's all been really positive for you coming back, you think?
Yeah, I mean I'm still young, so it didn't hurt me too bad. Yeah. Right. Did a lot of BFR twice a day, doing everything I could to keep my body in the best shape. Got in the pool a lot, so I try to do everything possible without lifting and just really running to stay right.
So that was kind of the first part that they were getting into about, the fact that how you think you're doing, how's it progressing, talking about, hey, you were managed to be earlier than expected on the field, but they're also kind of managing your time on the field, and ramping you up. And he basically said, look, I feel comfortable. I'm still learning the playbook. There's no concerns about his neck, which I was very happy to hear. The concerns here are soft tissue, lower leg injuries, like DA was saying. It's like we don't want any of that. When in about a month's time, when week one rolls around, everybody wants to make sure he's 100% from the tip top to the toes they are on him. So the neck's fine, but we don't run into like you said, leg issues or any muscular issues really. Um, BF4, I had to look that up. I didn't know what he was talking about, but it's blood flow restriction, and apparently it's using bands that they do exercises with. He mentioned a pool, and I know that's one of the things you can do in rehab when you really can't run or lift. You can kind of do some stuff in a swimming pool. So that's stuff he was doing for 2 months, just trying, desperately to be in his best physical shape he could be without being able to run and lift and do all the stuff he would normally be doing over that 2 month period. And seems to be catching up. They're very happy with his progress so far, but his on the field play the last 2 days in pads is, we keep using the expression turning heads. Well, I think right now he's spinning them around full 360.
I ain't gonna fake. Big Carl, obviously the OG came. Been learning from him a lot, and just trying to soak up everything that I can from those guys to add to my game, just to make us all, as a whole, real good group.
Like, what does he do well from your vantage point?
First of all, he got a dog mentality. I feel like it has to start there. You gotta have that dog in you to, I feel like, to be great at this game. He has a very good bend, I feel like, around the edge. Very great power. I feel like he has a wide range of moves that he can use in his toolbox. And, we always going back and forth about, okay, Carl, what you do right here? And, he asked me what I do here. If it's an angle, if it's a step, we always come talk to each other after, maybe a third down rep.
Kind of like the way, talking about kind of integrating himself into the team and being a leader, also on the team on the defensive edge. Because when you kind of look at it, Cam is the guy, but coming off the year he had last year, I mean, it's only so much he can probably do. So you want to make sure one of the other two guys out there can step up if they need to, depending on what happens with Cam. And so he's saying, look, he started off by saying, look, everybody on the defensive line, especially the edge, they're all dogs. They all got a lot of fight in them. And he mentioned Carl Granderson specifically and kind of talked about Granderson, that one of the things I like is, and he's going to go a little deeper in it in a second, but the fact that he's working with these guys, like he's saying, look, man, Carl's got a great bend and he's got a bunch of moves. So, after plays, especially after like a third down situation, when we get on the side, we start basically comparing notes, start asking questions, and he kind of said, I don't want to say in awe, I'm sure he's got a bunch of moves too, but he said it kind of in a way that made me think, man, Carl's got some moves I don't have that I want to learn. And more than likely, Carl Granderson's going, well, yeah, Chase has got some moves that I don't have and I'd like to learn. So I really like we'd been hearing a lot in camp about how Cam was taking young players aside. And even one point there was a report that he and Cam and Chase Young were on the side after working out, and they were having a conversation, sort of like he sounds like he has with Granderson a lot. So I think this is all good. That not only the individual stuff they do as edge rushers, but also he's saying, hey, I got to learn the playbook. Got to learn the playbook. And there's two guys been here a while that can help him do that. So all in all, I'm liking the play on the field, and then some of the stuff that say on the sideline or off the field that he's doing that is like really showing, hey, I want to be here and I want to have a monster year.
What have you been able to pick up from camp the last few months?
Everything, a lot of things about my hand placement a lot, pad level, a lot of things in the run game in terms of staying low when we need to peak and when we don't need to. So I'm going to pick with Cam all camp, helping him get annoyed.
So there he was talking about Cam, and he's mentioned, man, Cam does a lot of stuff working with him about hand placement, And then he starts going in the run defense, which Cam's always been a very good run defender on the edge. And, a guy like Chase Young could say, man, I don't, it's not my thing. I don't stop the run, man. I go after the quarterback and do my stuff there. But we know Granderson is a pass rusher who plays the run well also. And that was kind of the thing I was thinking is maybe Chase Young would just be more of a pass rush guy. It's kind of what he's known for, but he's very athletic, and there's no doubt, you know, athletic guys can do well in the run game if they want to. That sounded like, yeah, I want to. I want to be that complete edge player that this team really needs because that's the way we utilize our edge. We rarely just tell a guy off the edge, don't worry about it, just go get the quarterback.
You worked with some, Kerrigan and other pass rushers, but like, does he provide kind of a different perspective for you at all? Like, is this fresh for you?
Yeah, Cam, because Cam, he's a guy who can use speed, he can use power, he can go speed to power, he can go power to speed. So it's definitely, I feel like, I like even like Nick when I was out there. You got a guy who really does it all the time. So those guys I definitely try to study from and pick up from.
Is that a balance that you're still learning in your career of when to power, when to speed? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we always gonna learn. It's always something, we can learn how to change up on the guy. I feel like that's gonna go even when I'm, God willing, year 12, 13, I'm still gonna be learning.
And I like the way he kind of ended that with, you know, God willing, if I'm here year 12 or 13, I'm still going to be learning. Um, there's a lot of guys, I think, former first round picks who um, have a very high opinion of themselves sometimes, and you hear after they kind of like not live up to their expectations. You will hear stuff like, about whether he was coachable or not, and blah blah blah. And I don't know about all that, whether it's true or not. But I do know that as a former first round pick who's had his issues in the league, mostly due to injury, you're getting a guy coming in with a lot of ability, appears to be fully healthy. Knock on wood. Hopefully he stays that way and gets 100% healthy for the whole year. But he's a guy. He's telling you, but you got to keep learning. Got to, you know. And he was talking about Cam, all the stuff Cam's learned over the years that he's trying to learn from Cam. And he mentioned when he was in Frisco for a short period of time last year, playing with Nick Bosa, who's one of the best pass rushers in Lahina's brother, two of the best pass rushers in the NFL right now, learning from him. So I think you got a guy. When we first got him, like I said, I was just hoping, man, give me 15, 16 sacks a year. I'll be happy. Blah, blah. Now I'm going, we got a guy that's a complete edge player, and it sounds like he is and will be and wants to keep working towards it, and a leader, and a guy who's coachable, and the coach respects all his efforts and everything he's done has exceeded his expectations already. And then a guy that works well with others is trying to figure stuff out, not only from the coaches but from his fellow players. Going, and when they ask, he's giving information. I really like what we're seeing from Chase Young. I really do. And that could be a big part of saving our season, especially if the offense doesn't quite work as well as we're hoping to in year one or at the beginning of the season. Getting a dominant pass rush and edge players and getting the play from the linebackers and the outside, the corners and the safety we should be pretty good everywhere there at that point. They may be able to hold it all together to if the offense needs a little more time to get on track, but hopefully they won't. And we're going to run through some of the highlights, I guess, of DA's time up at the microphone. Start off by saying just right off the bat that this practice was very chippy. It's been progressively over the last 3 days of pads kind of getting to that, which he said kind of not necessarily a bad thing and sometimes can be expected. But the main thing I took away from his opening is he didn't like the execution today. Um, he thought it could have been better. He was expecting more. And what he's really interested in seeing Thursday, tomorrow's an off day, about seeing how they respond Friday and get back to his level of expectations. And that's kind of got to be a theme as people were as he was talking in this press conference, because he mentioned it right before they started asking questions. He's like, yeah, we got things done. It wasn't like it was a horrible practice, but not at the level of expectations. Not what I was expecting to see. It wasn't up to it. And basically got the day off tomorrow, but Friday, I expect things to return to what I have been seeing. Specifically, he was asked about Isaiah Foskey, who's had a couple of good days also in camp, had a really good one yesterday. And he said, look, he's taken a step forward, but going along with expectations, DA flat out said it, but I'm expecting, instead of a step, to see him take a jump forward. He said his progress has been good since basically the end of last season, everything he worked in the offseason up till now. But DA literally said, but I want to see a significant jump in production, a leap in production. And I'm like, yeah, so does every Saints fan out here right now. And the reason why the reason why he's saying this is he expects Foskey to do it because in his words, he says, because I know Foskey has the talent to bring that higher level of production. I mean, so he truly saying a statement like that, he's saying, look, I believe in Isaiah Foskey. I really do. But I want to see the jump. It's time for him to put it all together. The incremental progress, good. But we want to start seeing the big progress because we're expecting it from him because we know he has the talent to do it. Well, that was an interesting take. And then a little while later, they were asking about the tight end room without Juwan Johnson. And hey, Foster Moreau is a proven NFL tight end. And, he's a pro tight end. He's a pro's pro. I don't think anybody can agree with that or disagree with that, rather. But he mentioned the only other tight end he mentioned by name was Dallin Holker. And he goes, he said, yeah, he keeps catching our eye because he does some really good things in the passing game, but, still needs some improvement. And he kind of summed it up this way. He said, look, right now, because the question was without Juwan Johnson being there, he says, right now you have Moreau, that's a proven NFL tight end, and then you have a group of guys trying to prove that they are NFL tight ends. And he's wanting to see more out of that group after Moreau. Obviously wants to see Juwan Johnson back on the field. But as of right now, he's like, yeah, we got one guy that's proven. They need to step up and prove that they should be on the field as an NFL level tight end. And so I was really just I keep finding myself when I watch a DA press conference now to keep going, this is not the cookie cutter questions and answer he had been doing, because normally you would have gotten stuff like, we got to clean stuff up. We got to hold them accountable. But nothing ever really got done. But it seems right now what we're hearing is, no, they got to do it. They aren't living up to our expectations. We're going to hold them accountable. We're going to tell them, no, you got to give us more because you're not living up to what we know you can do. And we want to see what you can do. So kind of exciting to hear that take from the head coach that we really hadn't heard the last 2 years. And I want to play for y'all a clip from the Chase Young post-practice interview and a clip from Lucas Patrick, who was also up in the mic. They both were asked about Taliese Fuaga. And from what I read today, Fuaga and Chase Young have been matched up a couple of times during training camp. They've locked horns, one-on-ones or teams. So I think there's some interesting stuff here. I'm going to just let them both play out, and I apologize, but that was the way it was recorded. The recording I got that at the very end of Patrick's little soundbite, the sound fades out for a bit and you can't hear him, but it comes back at the very end for the very important thing.
Conversations with Taliese Fuaga on the other side too. You probably had a few first-round offensive tackles in your career, but what's your impression of him so far?
Dog, he gonna be a real great player, real patient, super strong. When I'm going against him, I gotta mix it up on him, dial it in, because he is just so massive. And a guy who's massive, who's patient and strong. I mean, you can lightweight give them anything, they just sitting on you. So, you good.
Can you tell that he hasn't been a left tackle before?
Nah, he's a thing I feel like that makes him different. He's a very smart player. Very smart. I feel like every day he's asking me a piece here or there that he can learn from. Okay, what did you do at the top of your rush right there? Do you always want to go inside? He was always trying to learn and get better for that next rep.
Fuaga.
Going to be a great player. So Chase Young's giving him give the rookie a prop. But he's going and saying, look, man, super strong, patient, very smart player, willing to ask, wanting to learn. For as smartest of a player he is, he's still, I'm kind of reading into that when they were locked up and Young gets a move on him and beats him, that's what it sounded like. Hey, what did you do at the top of that pass rush? How did you get me? What did you do? What was the move? What would be the next move? Asking questions like that, knowing that as great as Fuaga was and came in hot as the 14th overall in a great offensive tackle. To acknowledge, in fact, man, I don't know everything. That guy doesn't know everything, but he knows more than I know, and I got to go up against guys like him all this year. Well, let me see what he can teach me.
Here. Taliese Fuaga.
Oh, Tali. I've been fortunate in my, I guess, decently long career to be around a couple first rounders. He loves football. He approaches it the right way. His mental game is ahead of some other guys I've been with. Just the way he approaches it, he approaches everything new, but with an attitude to work. He's extremely talented. I mean, it's hard for a rookie tackle in this business. He's a patient setter. He's got good hands. He moves well. He sticks his hat in the run game very well. Whatever they were doing at Oregon State, they were doing some good things because he's kind of ahead of some other guys I've been around. And it's all a testament to him. I mean, he's clearly worked very hard the whole time. Super excited to watch his career from here on out. Like, I think he's going to be a special player.
I've heard a couple guys bring up the work and the loving football. It seems like you're just kind of describing a pro, right? Somebody who kind of approaches the game professionally. Is that maybe sometimes you don't see that as much in rookies, or? Yeah,
I think it's hard for rookies to understand that there's like families to feed and there's like this is a job. Like, don't get me wrong, it's the best job in the world. You get to play a kid's game, go out there with your buddies, have fun, but there is a certain level of accountability that's needed. And for a rookie to come.
Taliese Fuaga.
Oh, Tali. I've been fortunate in my, I guess, decently long career to be around a couple first rounders. He loves football. He approaches it the right way. His mental game is ahead of some other guys I've been with. Just the way he approaches it, he approaches everything new, but with an attitude to work. He's extremely talented. I mean, it's hard for a rookie tackle in this business. He's a patient setter. He's got good hands. He moves well. He sticks his hat in the run game very well. Whatever they were doing at Oregon State, they were doing some good things because he's kind of ahead of some other guys I've been around. And it's all a testament to him. I mean, he's clearly worked very hard the whole time. Super excited to watch his career from here on out. Like, I think he's going to be a special player.
I've heard a couple guys bring up the work and the loving football. It seems like you're just kind of describing a pro, right? Somebody who kind of approaches the game professionally. Is that maybe sometimes you don't see that as much in rookies, or
Yeah, I think it's hard for rookies to understand that there's like families to feed and there's like this is a job. Like, don't get me wrong, it's the best job in the world. You get to play a kids game, go out there with your buddies, have fun, but there is a certain level of accountability that's needed, and for a rookie to come.
And we're going to stop right there because that's where the sound cut out. And I just realized that Lucas Patrick's last little comment got cut off also. But the thing he ended with was basically, look, he's already ahead of the game on how to be a pro. Like, because what he was talking about there, he echoed a lot of the same stuff kind of physically about Fuaga that Chase Young did. And here's a guy. So you had a guy across from Fuaga speaking about him, and the guy that plays next to him because he was playing left guard up until today. Um, and talking about the same thing, man, going to be a great player. He's strong, he's physical, he's patient, he's got good hand placement. He asks questions, he's always trying to learn, and he's already a smart player that's trying to get smarter while he's doing all this. Very physical, and he's talking about in the run game, going, yeah, he's a force there too. So you're impressing two vets there, 5-year guy at edge and a 7-year guy in the interior. But the fact is that what I really liked about at the end when they asked him after he described him, much like Young did, when they asked the question, it's almost like you described him. He's already a pro player, and he's like, "Yeah," because a lot of rookies don't understand that as much as it's a kid's game and it's a lot of fun, it is the job. That's how we feed families and do all that stuff, and so it's important, and you got to take it as important, and you got to take it as it's not all fun and games. And in the end, that's what being a pro is all about. Showing up every day, doing the job, doing the work, realizing that other people rely on you to do it. They're all in there for the same goal. So I thought that was a very, very poignant comment by uh, by Lucas Patrick, pointing out that as far as rookies I remember, he's ahead of the game and understanding what it takes to be a pro. And I think that's a huge, huge thing. If you're a first round pick, understanding and getting your teammates to respect you for it. I think it's time to kind of go over the practice reports, as I like to call them, the injury report. Oh, wow. Okay. Juwan Johnson, Brian Brzee still out, but they were seen either running or getting some work in before practice. So hopefully that means they'll be back soon. But Aquanum St. Brown, Bub Means joined today with what DA described as a lower leg muscle issue, calf, I guess. I don't know what that means exactly. Lattimore still out. Kendre Miller still out. Nick Saldivari still out. Justin Lemieux still out. Trajan Jeffcoat still out. Good news, Chris Olave did return full practice today, full go. But in today's practice, Tommy Hudson, tight end, left early, and linebacker Demario Davis left early with a hamstring. Getting to kind of be concerning that every day it seems like we hear one of our top players having to leave practice early. Case of Olave being the guy yesterday, he showed back up today, so everything hopefully is okay and kosher on that. We got a day off tomorrow. Hopefully we start getting some of these guys back. But it's really concerning that I'm starting to count how many practices we have left because it's almost to the point, well, how many freaking more starters are we going to lose having to leave practice? So somebody needs to talk to the training staff or something. I don't know, but this is really starting to bother me. I want this list getting shorter, and every day when I give it to you, it's getting longer, and it's just not good. Now, Eric McCoy didn't practice today, but that turned out it was just a veteran day off, and that's why Lucas Patrick was not at left guard today. They moved him to center, so he ran with the number one centers, the number one center. And so they rotated at left guard. Landon Young, Kyle Hergel, and Oliude came over from right tackle to get some snaps at left guard. So what we're about ready to talk about, maybe that had something to do with it. I hope so. But basically, defense the defensive pass rush when they were working on the passing stuff just dominated the hell out of the offense. Top players, Chase Young had a monster day. Alontae Taylor, they said, was just both in one-on-ones and in teams was just active all day long and was doing a good job of locking in coverage and all practice from the start to the finish. Looking, many of the media have said that it was by far the best day that he had, which is great to hear, especially with Marshawn being a little slow right now. He's getting a lot of work. So Adebo, Kool-Aid, Taylor, I'll pick it up. Hopefully Marshawn comes back and we have that elite cornerback room that I'm really wanting. Chase Young led the defense by Matt Paris's account in the one-on-ones in the teams. It had been 12 sacks and possibly 2 more. Peyton Turner had a strip sack. Later on, Roderick Teamer had an interception. So it's starting to concern a little bit that we may be having some issues on the offensive line as far as pass blocking. Now, one thing I have yet to see the media mention is this off play action or any of the fake the play action rollout or all that kind of stuff where they're not in true drop back pass blocking, that they're using the zone scheme to kind of scheme up the pass plays. I don't know the answer to that. I wish somebody would say, because if it's straight drop passing where they're doing straight drop backs, it's concerning, but it's not as concerning as if, yeah, no, they're not doing the fakes and all they need to do in the zone scheme to sell the play action, and that's what's getting them in trouble, because now you're talking, oh, that's going to stall the whole offense. But if you can't drop in pass pro or protect in pass pro, that's an issue too. Hopefully they get it solved soon. On the offensive side, guess who? Mason Tipton gets another mention again today. He just seems to keep coming through. Spencer Rattler and him connected on a long pass down the right sideline. And Tipton was running with the ones because we've got so many receivers out in front of him that besides running with the twos and Rattler, he was running with the ones also. One thing we did kind of sounds like is going well is the running game from the offensive line, that they're looking solid. They're creating the run lanes, creating the space. And specifically today, 2 names came up. Jordan Mims again. He's looked very solid in camp. And DA had talked about him yesterday. But for the first time, I heard James Robinson's name, which is good also. Hopefully he's back 100% from the Achilles over last year. And two guys there that sounding like they would be able to contribute in the running game at some point if you needed them to. So that's good news at least. But for the most part, offensively today, not a whole lot in there. It was all about the defense. So they get a day off tomorrow. We'll find out how they respond, as DA said on Friday, and we'll go from there. So Chase Young, I'm calling it 12 or more. I'm taking the over on 12 sacks a year. I'm really feeling the Chase Young. So if you're with me on the 12 or more, give me the thumbs up. Tell me what you think about what's going on so far, especially concerns. I'm starting to get concerned, at least in the pass protection, the offensive line. That could be the issue we don't want to have to deal with. But let me know what you guys think. Pop them down in the comments. If you're new here, please hit subscribe, notifications. Since Saints are off tomorrow, I will likely be off tomorrow. I may drop something, but more than likely, I'm going to take my day and try to be back in here on Friday. So till then, I'm Tim. Peace out. Who dat?